Welcome to Mishna study Masachat Maasrot Perek Bet Mishnah Aleph. So, as a quick introduction, we spoke about the stages for Terumot Maasrot, right? So we spoke about the growth stage. At what point is it ripe enough to be considered to be considered Maaser, right? To be obligated in Maaser. Once it's ripe enough, it needs to meet its final production stage, right? So once, let's say, some of the fruits that we mentioned, right? You need to go ahead and, the oil, for example, right? It needs to reach already the bottom of the press, right? That's its final production stage, and that's when it's obligated to the Mota Maasrot. Now, fruits, we need to bring them into the home. Before they reach the house, before they reach the Hatzer, the courtyard, or the house, you're allowed to eat from it temporarily. Person, even a ripe apple, he picks it off his tree, he's allowed to eat from it temporarily until he brings it home. Once he brings it home, right, into his house, that's when it's going to be obligated in Terumot and Maasrot. So, now that we said this, a person's going, he's traveling the Shuk, he's walking through the Shuk and someone approaches him and says, here's some figs. Go, have some, taste some. Is he allowed to taste them? Or does he have to assume that this person who's giving them to him, maybe he brought them into his house already and they're obligated to Terumot Maasrot, and now he's giving them to him to eat? That's a problem. So that's what our Mishnah is going to be discussing. Someone was passing through the Shuk and he said, come have some figs. And whoever's being offered these figs, they're allowed to eat from these figs, and they're patur from separating Terumot and Maasrot. Why? Because this person who's giving it to them, who's offering it to them, is telling him, come, have a little taste. Right? So he's saying that in a sense where they did not see his home. Right? And therefore, he's saying, okay, he's come, have a little taste, and you could eat from it, achilat arai. That's the first case of the Mishnah. Now, parenthetically, you just point out that you have to remember this is a gift, right? He's giving it as a gift. If it was being sold, right, all different laws of Terumot and Maasrot apply, right? Because we know that a mecher is koveh al maaser. A sale already now forces something to be obligated in Terumot and Maasrot, whereas a matana, a gift, right, ena koveh ad maaser. It doesn't force something to be obligated in Terumot and Maasrot. Okay, so now the fichach, therefore, being that you're allowed to go ahead and taste this gift, right? If they brought it into their home, now you go ahead, you bring it into your house. These fruits never saw a home before. Therefore, this is the first time they're being obligated in Maasrot. So now you need to go ahead and separate everything as if they were never tithed before. So you have to separate Terumah, Maaser Rishon, Maaser Sheni, right, and follow the whole process. Now, let's say he was passing the Shuk and someone said, here, take some and take it into your home. So why is he saying that? He's obviously telling you that, right? Because he wants you to take it into your home, because he's saying that I've already taken it into my home. You're not allowed to eat it from it, arai. Right? That's what he's trying. That's what he's insinuating. So lo yachlu mehem arai. Therefore, a person now, he has to assume that this person brought them into the person who's giving them to him as a gift, brought them into his house already. They're already obligated in Maasrot. So therefore, lo yachlu mehem arai. He's not allowed to eat from it. Arai, even a temporary eating. Therefore, now, if he brings it out into his home, now you take these figs, you take them home with you. We say you're not allowed to eat temporary eating. You have to bring them into your house. We assume that the first person already brought them into his house and they were obligated in Maasrot, but we cannot assume, right? We still have to assume that he's an Ama'aretz. So we're not allowed to assume that he actually separated all the Terumot and Maasrot. We have to assume it's obligated in Terumot and Maasrot, and we have to treat it like Demai. And therefore, Enan metakerin ela Demai. You have to separate it according to the laws of Demai, right? So we have to assume that the person possibly brought it into his home before. It was obligated in Terumot and Maasrot, but he may not have separated the Terumot and Maasrot, and therefore you need to separate this as Demai, right? Which means what? You don't have to separate Terumah, if you recall, because even Ama'aret separates Terumah because they're worried about the Mitabi de Shamayim. If they don't separate Terumah, we have to separate Terumat Maaser and you have to separate Maaser Sheni, right, which you take to eat in Yerushalayim.